Hey, what's up YouTube? Brian Fagioli here, and today I'm looking at a Gigabyte motherboard. It's one that I'm really excited about. It is the 990FX-GAMING. Okay, this is an AM3 plus socket motherboard for AMD, and I will be using this processor. This is the FX8350. It is not a new chip. It's a few years old, which is an okay thing because it's such a wonderful processor. It's a hardcore 8 core processor from AMD. The new aspect, though, is that it's packaged with the Wrath cooler, which is like an already classic cooler for a chip. It's a first party. It's coming right from AMD, so you don't have to buy a third-party cooler. It's silent. It cools very well. And it actually lights up that it says AMD. It's very cool. So I'm going to be pairing it with this motherboard. So I just want to do a quick unboxing of the motherboard itself. So let's take a look. Okay guys, so the motherboard that I'm looking at is the Gigabyte 990FX-GAMING G1 gaming motherboard, which is for socket AM3 Plus, which is I'm going to use with the AMD FX8350. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box. Now, some really exciting things about this motherboard. The back will show us a lot of this. So it has USB 3.1 Gen 2, so it's really fast USB. It also has a Type-C port, which is the newer reversible port. So just keep in mind, guys, that all Type-C is not USB 3.1, and all USB 3.1 is not Type-C. So Type-C is the connector type, USB 3.1 is the speed. So this board has a Type-C USB 3.1 port. Also really cool is the M.2 connector on the board itself. So right now I have a really nice Samsung SSD. It's N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, M as in Mary, E as in Edward, NVMe SSD from Samsung. So right now I have to leverage a PCI Express card that goes on. Now I can just put the card directly on the motherboard itself, and that frees up a PCI slot for me as well, which is really cool. Also in here, awesome stuff, Killer Ethernet. So Killer Ethernet is one of the better Ethernet chips if you're looking to do some gaming. There may be a little bit of snake oil there, but it's still cool to have the Killer Ethernet. I remember when Killer came out originally, it was like a super expensive Ethernet card, and everybody ran out to get one. It was really cool, but it was expensive. Now that's kind of integrated into the board here. Again, not a huge deal, but still pretty cool. It has a really nice audio chipset on here, 115 dB high definition audio, onboard audio with nice audio capacitors. Very, very cool. You can do SLI. There's 3, look at the top of the box here, there's 3 X16 slots. However, I believe it's 16, 8, and probably 1. So keep in mind, guys, that a 16X slot doesn't have to run at 16X speed, but you can put for instance, a 1X, a 4X, an 8X card into a 16X speed slot. So you can accommodate a lot of things here. You can do SLI with 2 graphics cards if you want. I usually don't go that route, but definitely have the option. And of course, there's 4 slots for RAM. So I'm going to maximize that with 32 gigs of some HyperX RAM. So enough of the talking. Let's get into the actual motherboard inside. Let's go ahead and open it up. Okay. Exciting stuff, guys. Now, this motherboard is one that I've actually wanted for a really long time. What I do a lot of times, I'll put the board to the side for a moment, but what I do a lot is I'll go to Newegg and just kind of window shop. I'll put in the features and I'll go, okay, I want USB 3.1, I want an M.2 connector, I want it to be an AMD board, and I'll do that and I'll find like the perfect motherboard. And this board has come up all the time. It's like, wow, I really want that board. So let's see what we have in here. So we have 2 SATA connectors. Now, I only am going to use one SATA cable. I still use an optical drive, but with the exception of an optical drive, I don't need any serial ATA connectors at all because I'm using an NVMe SSD, which is going to go right in the motherboard. So if I decided not even to put an optical drive in, I wouldn't need any cables inside, which is really cool for keeping things for cooling, for cable management. It's nice not to have any cables. Serial ATA. Here are 2 more serial ATA cables. They're nice. They're like a clear color. Very cool. Those aside. We have an SLI bridge. So right now, we have an SLI bridge here. Right now, I'm using a R9 380 as my card. You know what? I don't know if it makes sense to buy a second R9 380 or just wait for something new. A lot of games are incompatible when you use 2 cards, and it's usually not the best route to go. But I'll consider that. What else do we have here? We have, this is not something. Gigabyte G connector. I don't really know what that is. So power LED. Oh. It looks like, so you have like your power LED, all your connectors. Let me open this up. Not exactly sure how this works. I can open up the bag here. Usually when I do a build, that's one of the most pain in the butt things is lining up the pins for the power connector and everything. So it looks like maybe you can set that all up here. You plug those in here, and then you can just snap this right into the board. That's actually pretty ingenious. I like that a lot, if that's how it works, in fact. So you see here it says power, LED, the reset, hard drive, power LED, power, and speaker. So that's kind of cool. If you're doing a build, you plug everything into this, and then you just plug it right into the motherboard. That's usually one of the last things I'll do, and I'm trying to get the little pins in, and it's just a pain in the butt. It can be hard to see what lines up where. And this is actually pretty cool. Here's the back plate, but it's black and red. Let's see if I can put that against the white there. Black and red. It looks really nice for a back plate. Wow. Very nice. It has like some padding here as well. Great backplate. Nice. We have a Gigabyte multilingual installation guide. And I don't think I'll use this at all. Nah, I don't think I'll need to use this. The only thing I had a question about was these connectors. Yeah, so it looks like you plug that into the harness. Looks pretty self-explanatory, guys. Nothing too crazy there. Also inside, we have a disc, AMD 900 series utilities. Now this probably has drivers on it as well, but of course you don't really want to bother with that. You can just go to a site that hosts the latest AMD drivers. You should be able to just use that, and plus Windows Update, and you'll be fine. It says here there's also Norton security on this disk, so I probably don't want to put this in my computer at all, just because I don't need Norton security. I don't even want that popping up on my machine. What else do we have here? Oh, this is hilarious. This is really cool. A Do Not Disturb by Gigabyte door sign. So when I'm in my gaming room, my little computer room, which is basically a closet, I can put this on the door, and my wife knows to leave me alone. I don't think it'll work. I think she'll still bother me. So it says enter, do not disturb. That's really cool. Nice little touch inside the box. And then we have the actual manual for the 990FX-GAMING. And there's just all different stuff in there. You can read that if you need it. I probably won't even bother. Alright, so let's put all that to the side, and let's look at the actual motherboard. So let's figure out the best way that we want to do that. So what I want to do, if I can, let's see, if I turn this. Alright, let's see if we can do this. I don't want to put the board right on my table. I also don't want to put it right on the outside of the static bag. So I'm going to take it out. Okay. And I'm going to put it on the box just for right now. Don't freak out, folks. All right, so let's see what we have. Now, what I'm a little confused about, I don't really know. It says that these are USB up. which I don't know if that just means that they're for charging, but there's two USB 2.0 ports here. There's PS2 port if you're still going to use an old mouse or keyboard. I really wish they'd stop putting these on motherboards nowadays. It's a little silly to still have that. But anyway, two USB 2.0 ports, Type A. Here's a USB Type C port 3.1. And here's a USB Type A port 3.1. So these both have the same speed, they're just different connectors. This is the newer Type C, this is the older Type A. Then we have two USB 3.0 Type A ports here, 3.0. These are black, which would normally mean 2.0, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually 3.0. They could be 2.0 though. So here we have the Ethernet port. And then we have our sound. So we have our analog sound plus the optical right there. So an optical connector. Cool. We see here for the chipset, the killer Ethernet E2200. That's really cool. I am a Windows and Linux user though, so I'm not sure about killer drivers for Linux. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem. But this should work brilliantly with Windows. Let's see. Oh, also in the box, I can reach that there, is a G1 Gaming case badge. Very, very cool. That will definitely go on my case. So as we can see, there are three ports, X16 length, that can do SLI or Crossfire. Here is the Amp Up Audio chipset. Now, there's a metal like shroud on the PCI Express. I'm not exactly sure what that's for. I'm going to have to look into that and see why there's metal on those. If it's for some sort of interference, communication, who knows what that is. I'll have to look into it. So there's four. Now, again, this is an AMD board, so I really like the black and red. So there's four DIMM slots here for RAM, so you can put, like I said, up to 32 gigs really there. AMD still uses DDR3, so I will be putting 32 gigs of DDR3 in there. All right, I'm now going to pick up the board and we're going to look at the bottom here. All right, so let's see what we have. So, on the bottom, we have fan. COM port if you're hooking up like an older serial card, USB 2.0, another USB 2.0, another USB 2.0. There's one USB 3.0 connector on the bottom here, and a TPM, which is cool because you can hook up a TPM to use something like BitLocker on Windows to secure your drive. That's very cool. Let's see what else here. So we have system fan here. Let's see, is that a system fan? So it's a three pin system fan at the bottom, but then there's a 4-pin here, another 3-pin here. On the top, let's see. Let me put down the board for a second and just adjust the camera. Okay. That will do it. A little bit here. Let me pick up the camera. On the top there is the CPU fan connector. There's a 4-pin. There's a power button on the motherboard itself, which is cool. You can actually turn on the board right as you're building. You don't have to hook it up to a case or to a switch. There's two other buttons there, a blue button and a black button. Now I know this is dual BIOS, so I think one of those is for the dual BIOS, but I'm not sure what the other is for, so I'm gonna have to look into that. There's also a little LED there, so the 2-digit LED, and that's it, so you can troubleshoot. There'll be codes that you can use to troubleshoot. Hopefully you never have to do that. Let's see. Turn the board like so. And here you can see the M.2. That's what I'm really excited about, is I can put my Samsung PCI Express NVMe M2 drive right in there and hook it up, and I don't need to hook any serial HDA cables except for my optical drive. It's going to make for a really clean build, and I really love that everything's black and red. Even my sticks from HyperX are red, so that's going to really make everything match. Very, very cool. Even though I don't plan on really using them, we have 6. Little hard to see, I apologize. right there. We have 6 serial ATA connectors, so you can connect a lot of drives if you want to. That's awesome. And just a beautiful board, right guys? I mean, we see here the south bridge connecting here, going up here, the heat pipe. Very, very beautiful, very well built drive. In addition to the X16 ports, we have 1, 2, 3 1X PCI Express connectors. Of course, this one will be basically non-usable once you put your graphics card in, but you have one above it as well. What a great motherboard, a really, really great motherboard. So I will be setting it up with the AMD FX-8350, which is an 8-core processor, a little bit of an older processor, but that's not a bad thing because it's still such a great chip. 4.2 gigahertz will definitely overclock that, and it comes with the Wrath cooler stock in the box. What a great process. So great processor, great motherboard. It has all the modern features you would want. You're getting, look at this board. Look at everything you're getting. So it's a full ATX board. You're getting killer Ethernet. You're getting high quality audio. You're getting 3 X16 PCI Express ports, and then 3 1X ports, USB 3.1 in Type A and Type C, optical out. I mean, it's just a great motherboard. There's really nothing you would want that isn't here. I mean, everything is here. So for gaming, for building a gaming rig, and you want to go AMD, this is kind of the holy grail, folks. I don't see a motherboard better than this one as of right now for AMD. And of course, AMD is gonna switch things up soon. They're not going to be sticking with the current chipset. They're not going to stick with AM3 Plus. We're going to move to DDR4. So I mean, this is kind of a late stage motherboard, but that happens sometimes. In the late stages of processors, you're going to see the real creme de la creme motherboards come out, and this is it, folks. I mean, this is the motherboard. This is the one you're going to want.